Hey, Shalom Shalom Yishboka. Welcome to another edition of Ray Bash's Ramblings. I'm your host, Rabbi Yehuda ben Shomer, and today we're going to be talking about women keeping silent in the synagogue, in the congregation. I've gotten a lot of emails and a lot of people approach me about what a woman's role is in the congregation. Can they be rabbis? Can they be leaders? Can they teach? And because they get a lot of backlash. Women get a lot of backlash from people quoting 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verses 34 and 35, and they quote this and then automatically take it out of context. So let me read it to you, at least verse 34. It says, "Let your women keep silent in the churches, in the synagogue, in the kehillah, in the congregation, in the assembly, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the Torah," the law. So a lot of women are opposed when they're trying to give a testimony, when they want to teach or speak about something, and the men come and say, well, women are keep silent in the church, women should keep silent in the church, and they have no idea what Rav Shaul was talking about when he said this. You have to understand this passage in a Jewish historical context for you to properly understand it. The modern churches of today were nothing like the first century synagogues of Rav Shaul's time. And the synagogues that were in Rav Shaul's time are very much like they are today, at least in the Orthodox sect. And this is the way the synagogues were set up. Usually the men sat in the middle, and the women were set separate from the men on the sides, usually up in a raised balcony. And so back then they didn't have PA systems or microphones or speakers, and the rabbi would just have to speak as loud as he could and hope that the acoustics were good in the building and that everybody could hear and understand them. Now also, remember that men were the only ones who went to yeshiva, the only ones who went to Hebrew school. So they were pretty much understanding and knowing what the rabbi was saying, but at times he would say something or talk about something that the women were clueless about. And it had become a habit for women to stand up in the middle of the service to interrupt the rabbi, to yell to their husbands, "Hey, what did the rabbi say? Hey, what did the rabbi mean by that?" And that's a no-no. That's very rude. That's interrupting the congregation, interrupting the rabbi, interrupting the service. And if this was going on every 5 minutes, it was pretty much impossible for anybody to get anything, to glean anything from the service, from the drash that the rabbi was talking about. So Rav Shaul said, "Let your women keep silent in the congregations, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the Torah." Verse 35, here's the key. "And if they will learn anything," see, it has to do with learning and not teaching or speaking, "let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for a woman to speak in the kehillah, in the synagogue." So he was saying it was a shame for them, that it was rude that they interrupted the rabbi and interrupted the process of learning in the synagogue just so they can ask their husband, "Hey, what did the rabbi just say? Hey, what did the rabbi mean?" They said if they have any questions or whatever, any comments, they need to wait until they got home and then ask their husband, and their husband would explain to them what the rabbi said or what the rabbi meant. And therefore, you would keep order in the kehillah, in the synagogue, and everybody would be able to learn and glean from the drash that the rabbi was speaking. It has nothing to do with women teaching. Now, I don't believe that women are permitted to be rabbis or leaders in authority over men, because the word for elder and the words connected to leadership titles, such as rabbi, is the word zakein, which means elder, but it also has the meaning bearded one, clearly implying and clearly talking about how men are elders, men are leaders. So women are not permitted to be a rabbi or to hold halakhic Torah authority, instructing mixed company, instructing men in Torah and halakha. But it doesn't say that they're not permitted to teach. They're permitted to teach women. They're permitted to teach children, especially if they are educated and have certification to teach on halakhic issues such as nidah, family purity, kashrut, having a kosher home and a kosher kitchen, and teaching on modesty and things of this nature. and they are permitted to speak in mixed company in regards if they have an expertise. For instance, if a woman, let's say she is an expert in creation, she has certifications, she has training, she has degrees, the rabbis taught her, or at least the rabbi knows exactly what she believes, why she believes it, what she's going to say, what she's going to teach, and the rabbi approves of all this, then she can speak in front of the congregation regarding creation so as to equip the men and the women to be able to answer atheists and secular humanists and evolutionists regarding why they believe in creation. But regarding halakhic issues, they are not permitted to make decisions on, or to be leaders of, or to teach to men or to mixed company. And so basically that's what it is. That's the way it is. Now, there is such a thing as a rebbetzin, which is the first definition of a rebbetzin. It's the wife of a rabbi. It's the wife of a rabbi, and she has a ministry to assist the rabbi in any way, shape, or form, and to take care of issues that pop up among the women and children usually. There are also, the second definition of a rebbetzin is a woman who may be married or not married, and she has received and obtained proper teaching and certification regarding halakhic issues as it deals with women and children, and so she is an authority that women and children can go to ask certain questions, to get certain halakhic issues cleared up that they have. And so a woman can be a rebbetzin, a leader in that way, but a woman is not permitted to be a rabbi over a congregation, especially a congregation of mixed company. But you say, well, what about Deborah? She was a judge in Israel, and she was a woman. She was a leader over men. What about Deborah? Well, the issue with Deborah is it's a very sad commentary, because there was no men that had the chutzpah, that had the backbone, that had the kahunas to stand up and step up to the plate and take the leadership role that belonged to them. There was no one else to do it, and so a woman had to stand up and do it. Perfectly acceptable, perfectly fine, because there was no one else that would take the baton and run with it. And therefore, since there was nobody else, it was permitted. It's not ideal, it's not God's perfect will, but it's in His permissive will when something like this occurs. For instance, I know of a small congregation in the bush of Nigeria where it's basically women and children, and the only person they have to lead that congregation is a woman. But when a man comes along that is a rabbi and that has the training and has what's needed to be able to take over that congregation, then she's going to let him take over when that time comes. But until now, there is nobody. That's it. If it wasn't for her, there would be no congregation. So there are extenuating circumstances and exceptions, rare exceptions to the rule. But in general, women are not permitted to be rabbis, to be leaders over mixed company or men, but they are permitted to speak and to teach on certain issues in the congregation. So I really hope this clears up this issue. Thank you for watching. Shalom and Shavuot Tov. Bye-bye, folks.